Hello everyone, we're about to begin the second half of the vocabulary terms from the Revolutionary War. This list is somewhat extensive, so as we look at what we have in front of us, we'll try to go through it efficiently and quickly, and I'll probably just stay in general order. Take the first word, invincible. We've heard that expression quite often, that someone is invincible, simply meaning that they cannot be defeated. They cannot be overcome. They are unconquerable. When the Founding Fathers are talking about certain inviolate laws, they're talking about some things that are kept sacred. To be inviolate is to be kept sacred or unbroken. There are certain rights that are inviolate. To levy taxes is to impose them or to collect them. That's what the colonists are so upset about, the levying of taxes. And magnanimity is a great word. Magna meaning large, anima meaning spirit. So somebody who's large in spirit is known for their generosity, is known for their kindness. In his great magnanimity, he reached out and helped me, their goodness. And magna, again, magnitude means anything that is great in size. We didn't realize the magnitude of the situation. This root word mar comes from the Roman god Mars, which pertains to war. So anything that's martial is suitable for war. Talk about martial arts, for example, suitable for battle. If you've ever heard of somebody who has been hired as a mercenary, it's a soldier who is paid, right? A hired soldier. Like the Hessians were hired soldiers. They were Germans who were paid to fight for Great Britain during the Revolutionary War. They're working for payment only. And if you've ever felt mortified, we know that mortification is embarrassment. She was a victim of mortification, embarrassment, or shame. We would be mortified if anyone found out that we were cowardly during the time when our country needed us most. And oppression is the word that is the idea that the colonists felt. They felt that they were victims of oppression. That is the act of being held down, of being oppressed. And usually you're being held down by cruel or unjust treatment. Okay, so here we go. Perfidy is not a word that we often hear. We can hear the word treachery quite a bit, or deception. We can hear deceitfulness. We can hear the expression betrayal. It's a betrayal of trust. To say that George III is guilty of perfidy is to say that he's guilty of treason. He's guilty of treachery. And to be petrified is to be paralyzed with fear. It also can mean to harden, petrified wood, to harden or deaden. But the more common expression is petrified in terms of being scared. It was felt by the colonists that the king was plundering their resources. This is to rob or take by force. We often hear this in terms of war. A soldier wants his share of the plunder, his share of the booty, his share of the stuff that they've stolen. If you're in a precarious situation, it is an uncertain one. It is rather risky. His actions are going to precipitate a response. We know precipitation as rain, but to precipitate as a verb means to cause to happen. maybe even before it's expected. To cause to happen before it is expected, right? To precipitate events. If you give somebody a gift in the hopes that they're going to, give you what you want, you're trying to propitiate them. You're trying to win them over. You're trying to appease them. We're tired of propitiating to the king. And Patrick Henry asks, when will we be stronger? Will it be next week or next year? When is it going to be propitious or favorable or opportune for us to begin war? If we keep waiting, we're going to miss our opportunity. And to be prostrated in front of someone is to lie face downward on the ground. This is what Henry tells us we have done. We have lain prostrated before the king to no avail. We could trust God's grace, His providence, the benevolent guidance of God. He will not abandon us, as we hear both Thomas Paine and Patrick Henry say. They both believe that God will be on the side of the colonists because we're fighting a just battle. And it's very important to exercise prudence, to exercise good judgment, to exercise caution in what we do. We're not being haphazard here. And everything we do is marked by rectitude. It's marked by morally correct behavior. We're not doing any or asking for anything that we shouldn't have. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is the right of every man. And we're tired of asking for forms of reconciliation, the restoration of friendly terms. It's not an option any longer. The dreams that we have are refulgent with glory. They are shining and radiant and glowing with hope. And it would be important that we never relinquish those desires, to give up. This is just past tense though, to relinquish, we could simply say, is to give up or to surrender. We don't want to surrender. There was a wonderful line in Patrick Henry's speech where he uses parallel structure. We have supplicated, we have petitioned, we have remonstrated. That means to protest, to object. But nobody's listening. The king is not paying attention. To remonstrate is to protest or to object. There is no resolution. There is no decision, no outcome. We're still waiting. There's no question that we revere the great Lord in heaven. We respect and honor Him. And therefore, He will be on our side because He knows we're fighting for what is just. Many times, both Thomas Paine and Patrick Henry talk about the idea of freedom versus slavery, and they feel as if we have been riveted or held to hold. We've been riveted or bolted down. As a noun form, a rivet is actually a bolt used to hold things together. It's a good image. For both authors to use. Okay, and now we're on our final page. You can tell from his sentiments that Thomas Paine feels very strongly about keeping the war going, about not giving up. A sentiment is a feeling or an opinion. These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will at this time shirk from the defense of his country. A very solemn approach is taken by both Thomas Paine and Thomas Jefferson. A very serious and grave listing of grievances. Especially Jefferson lists all the grievances against the king. And we have been victims of subjugation. Subjugation is holding somebody down. This is the act of making someone subservient, to be beneath them. We had the word prostrate before. So if someone is lying supine, that means that they are lying on the back, inactive, sluggish. You're feeling supine, or you can literally be lying down on your back. Supplication is just another way of begging. You know, the act of asking for something, the act of begging. We're tired of supplication. We're tired of begging. Teachers always talk about tenure. Tenure is the act of holding office. The act of holding property or a position or an office. The touchstone of this argument, a touchstone is a test of purity, a test of genuineness. And then we have tyranny. What could we say about tyranny? Tyranny is despotism. It is the act of ruling with unjust power. And maybe what we can do is hope for usurpation, the seizing of power by force. To usurp someone. And finally, all three writers are tired of being vassals. They're tired of being servants, a servant to a lord. And so there you have it. That's the final set of words for Revolutionary War vocabulary.